Hello, I'm David Grossman. You're watching Keeping It Real here on alltalktv.com, broadcasting from Fitzgerald's Pub. Great to be here today, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to Sue Langlois. She's the founder and CEO of WOWnetwork. Very interesting company. They're into providing digital screens, electronic billboards. I think the condo market is a big part of what you're doing, possibly the only part that you're serving. And we've been talking about these electronic billboards, and they seem like they're really awesome.
Yes.
You want to tell us how did you get into it?
Well, thanks for having me here, first of all.
Pleasure.
And WOWnetwork, actually, I got into it. I was in the broadcast industry for many years, and one day had the brainiac idea to put a screen in a condo, and that was several years ago. And from that, it developed into a real tool for condo boards and property managers who want to cut costs and mitigate legal risk, all the things the bad things that happen due to a lack of good communication in a condo building. So unlike a cork bulletin board, which is the common way to communicate to over 1.5 million Ontario residents who live in condos right now, our digital screens use the internet and a digital system and software where we can upload the messages. And we take it a step further because we make and create and upload and manage a lot of those messages as well.
Right.
Because it's something that we're finding the average property manager is only putting out about 10% of the information that really needs to be broadcast to residents who live in a condo. They're just too busy. They have too many other things to do. So the trend now is for a condo board to outsource that, just like they would outsource their legal or their engineering or anything else that needs to be done. They'll outsource communication to someone like us who does that kind of work for them.
Right. We're going to bring up a shot so people can see what this what the digital screen looks like. Alberto will bring that up in a moment, but there's one right there in a lobby. Now, one of the things that I think is really neat is, we have all these graphics rolling in the background, and these are some samples that people could see.
Exactly.
Because until they see these sample communications, I don't think they would really get how important and the kinds of things that can be communicated.
That's right. The average condo spends between $10,000 and $50,000 a year on emergency repair and cleanup because people aren't getting the message about different things. Could be, the garbage chute is a big one. People putting things down garbage chutes that have no idea.
Car bumpers.
Car bumper. Who would think they would put that down there?
Right.
But it causes damage, and anytime that happens, it could either be billed back to the person, the culprit, if they can find him or her, or the condo corporation has to absorb that, which turns into higher fees for the residents.
Right.
So it's really important to get the communication across of how to live life in a condo. And a big problem is that messages look like black and white text right now. You might have one message looks the same as the next one It's the company letterhead, and then a bunch of black and white text. Who's looking at that? You have people who are digitally connected. They're reading less and less. So what we do is take that message. We try to put it into 10 words or less, and we put it with a picture, which has a lot more impact. And that way, every time someone enters the elevator or the mailroom, wherever your screen happens to be, very quickly they see the message and get it because a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, and especially with some of these graphics, because somebody in your office, communication is your expertise. So knowing how to communicate these things in a way that's going to get people's interest.
That's right as well. There's a few things to consider. First of all, the tone of the message. In some condos I've gone into, and it looks very like you're admonishing the resident, whereas really you just need to inform them. In other cases, there's a reach and frequency of any message that you need to kind of pay attention to in order to have some impact with the resident. The advertising world knows that quite well. That's why you see ads over and over, because they know it takes a while to get through. So with us, for instance, every condo corporation has an annual general meeting. So just to take that for an example, we would go back, say, 6 weeks. We would start posting the date. We would start posting the reason why to attend the AGM. We'll start posting things like the definition of quorum, why it's important to reach quorum, what a proxy is.
What is a quorum?
Quorum is the minimum number of people required to to vote basically in an AGM and to have the AGM be official. So if they don't reach quorum, the meeting might have to get canceled, in which case that costs more money. You have to go through the setup
Real
again.
waste of time. So you can communicate to people, you know, when these meetings are, why people should be coming out to the meeting, and, you know, getting, here it is one picture here talking about savings.
That's another thing. What we find is a board of directors and a manager, sometimes there's a gap between residents and then the management and the board of directors, and that team of managers and board of directors, they get a lot done over the course of a year. There are checked boxes at the end of the year of things they got done, so it's really important to share those wins and let residents know that they're doing a good job. And that very rarely makes it to a Cork bulletin board because there's too many other things to say. So with digital solution, you can have multiple messages running all the time and let people know about these things, and that just raises the it makes everything a little bit more friendly in the building. You can see, instead of people whining and complaining, they see, hey, we got a good team at work for us. They're getting things done.
So your company would go in, set up these electronic bulletin boards. You can either have them in the lobby, you can have them in the elevators, I think, as well, depending on the budget and I guess the number of people and so on. What does a typical installation look like?
Basically, it would be a 22-inch screen in an elevator, or you might have, we've gone up, I think, as high as 42 in a large lobby. So the range of the actual screen varies. Then you need a media player, which is basically a computer. You need to have that. Some cabling, electrical work, and IT, and an internet connection, and you're ready to roll. So what we do is we'll sell the hardware and install the hardware for the condo corporation, and then we take over after that and we manage it for them as well. So a manager, all they have to do is send us an email of what they want to say, and we say it for them.
And you'll help them craft the message, create a nice
we do all
graphic.
of that for them. So all they have to, our alarms are being tested next week, and actually we would get the schedule for the year ideally and put that into the system as well. So anything that they need to say, maybe there's a water shut off, an emergency message, and we can do that, you know, within 20 minutes. Get that posted to the screen so people know what's going on when it's happening.
Is there a revenue opportunity as well? I mean, I think I may have seen one or two of the slides. It looks like advertising local businesses and that kind of thing.
You could put advertising on it. We started with a model that was looking towards that to see if it would help pay for the system to go in. There's two issues with that. National advertisers, first of all, are kind of too big. The number of people in a condo, they want thousands of eyeballs when they're doing that. Local guys, it's hard to track them down. They don't know where their logo is. There's a lot of labor to go into that. However, there's always going to be someone, usually real estate, there's a lot of realtors who would like to go on these screens. So what we do, our solution there is just we tell the condo if that's what you'd like to do, go ahead. We can help them with their message, but then they can take any revenue that they might pay the corporation. So, and one thing to be cautious about, though, is that a condo corporation has a tax status, so they're not supposed to be, you know, profit-making machines. So what we do is, you know, warn them against that. It's okay to
maybe just to
have
offset some of the expense to help justify. Although it sounds to me like if you can educate people to not throw their car bumper and queen-size bed frames down the garbage chute, so that people don't have to spend days fixing smoke alarms or whatever, or sprinklers that they've knocked off the walls and things like that they can really save quite a bit of money.
And there's a legal aspect to that too. A lot of condo corporations, you know, they can get into situations with residents that can escalate to the courts, and that can be prevented as well. A lot of the court cases I hear about are something that, you know, there was one woman, a case where her dog got legally evicted from the building. She had no idea that that could be the result. In that case, the condo corporation recouped their costs. Because they could show that they were communicating properly. But there's other situations. There was a woman with who didn't know her baby wasn't allowed in the pool, and for various reasons it escalated, but they got fined $10,000 from the Human Rights Tribunal. So these are the sorts of issues that if the rules and regulations were broadcast and people were communicating back and forth, it could have been prevented. And that's a lot of money to spend for that.
So it is all about communications, letting people know what's going on. As you say, people only hear about 10% of the things they could and should know about living in a condo corp. So this would...
And it's not all serious stuff either. That's one thing that we've added as well, is a community component. And board directors sometimes think that's a softer side that they don't really need to be concerned with. But psychologically, if you make someone welcome into a community, then they're accountable. They're happy to be there. They're happy to cooperate.
Yes.
They'll understand that they're responsible for certain things, and if they're responsible for a cost. Like, for instance, there was one man who went and ran his bathtub and went and had a nap. So, of course, it flooded the common elements. Now he's on the hook for a $2,500 deductible, insurance deductible, so I'm sure he's not happy about that. If he had known in advance, I would have bet that he wouldn't have gone for a nap quite so quickly. So these are the sort of things that building community, it's a positive thing. Right. So we have researchers at the office that also find out things that are going on in the neighborhood. Maybe there's a farmer's market. Maybe the condo is having a yoga class.
Right.
That kind of thing.
That's a great way to build community.
Because it can't all be
among the residents. Even if it's just a building thing, right? Some events, maybe dance lessons or whatever.
So, and digital signage, a good digital signage campaign should inform, educate, and entertain. So we add a little bit of that component, things that are going on in the neighborhood, some fun stuff. You can do some multi-ethnic. If you have ethnic communities, you can add, that's a huge component. You can do, the word of the day in anything from Italian to Urdu.
Actually, yeah, I've seen that
kind of thing. So it's just a fun way to bring people together, and it's not all serious rules and regulations. That way they can have a little bit of entertainment up there as well.
Knowing how to craft that message is so important too, and that's clearly something you and your company are able to help people with. So it was terrific having you here today, Sue. I appreciate it. And we're speaking with Sue Langlois, founder and CEO of WOWnetwork. If you live in a condo or you know somebody who's got a condo and people aren't getting all the information they should have, you definitely want to call Sue and speak with either Sue or somebody from her company. The phone number there is 416-537-5353, or you can go to the website WOWnetwork.ca. Thanks again, Sue.
Thank you.
It was great having you here. And that's all we have for today. I'm David Grossman. Thanks very much for watching Keeping It Real. See you next time.